Namaste yogis, this is Stephen from YogaWorks, and in this class today we're going to have a look at how we can use our own hands to give ourselves some yoga assists. I'm recording this in quite a serious third wave of this corona epidemic, or pandemic I should say, and our classes have cancelled. Our only option is really this, to meet online at this time. And so it's a good time to sort of figure out what can we do in the situations where your teacher is not present, or it's not advisable to get really close to each other. But also, of course, when you know how to give some self-assists, then it puts you in the power to do this whenever you want to. Even in a public class, you can imagine if there's 20 or sometimes more people in a class, the teacher can never get to all the students in the same kind of way. So these self-assists are always available. They also have a more powerful effect than just sort of the thought process or listening to the words of a teacher, because of the tactile, the sense of touch that sends a different signal to the brain. So you are both the person that touches and that receives the assist. Nice. It also helps you to just align your poses a little bit better and to become more aware of some parts of the body that may otherwise be a little bit, how should I say, offline, you could say. Good. So the very first one is just seated wherever you are. I'm going to place one hand on the belly and one on the chest. Close your eyes and then just see how that feels. Our bodies love touch. And when I say touch, I don't mean in a romantic way, although that's of course one example. I just mean the simple feeling of the touch of, it could be another person, but yourself as well, the body that actually doesn't know the difference. Your brain knows the difference, but the body doesn't. So just feel this the comforting touch of your own hands. And now can you use the touch of the hands to observe where the breath is flowing. One hand is on the rib cage, the chest, and when one hand is below the rib cage and the abdomen. And hopefully you're feeling the breath in both of these compartments, you could say. And just notice which hand is moving first when you inhale, and which hand is relaxing down first as you exhale. There's no right answer, there's just what you become aware of right now. And also take a moment to see which hand might be a bit more active with the breath, might be moving a little bit more. Sometimes the breath is a little bit more in the chest for some people and a little bit more in the belly for other people. Or maybe it's quite similar, that's fine. And just see, without changing the breath, how just a couple of slower rounds of breath can make a big difference with the hands in this simple touch. Good. Come to line your back. Bend the knees, so we're doing constructive rest pose, but with a self-assist, which I'm going to show you just now. So have the knees bent, the feet comfortably on the floor. It's almost like you're about to go up into bridge, but probably your feet are a bit wider. And we're not going up into bridge, just press your hands on the very top of the thighs. You can either have fingers towards your knees or fingers a little bit out, whatever works best. I like fingers up to the knees, and I'm digging my wrists into the hip creases and lengthening something. This movement, I'm pushing the wrists towards my heels. At the same time, I'm tucking the pelvis so that the lower back is pressing down into the mat. This is a kind of like a spinal traction. It's not easy to lengthen the lower back, But this is one way that I really enjoy, just to have a bit of space. You feel the lower back pushing into the mat. And because you're pushing with the hands, the tailbone goes more towards the heels than normal. So you're getting a little bit of extra space. This is great if you've just been sitting for a long time, or sometimes even possible to wake up with a bit of tightness in the lower back. So this might be a nice one to do in the early morning as well. Good. Release that, the pressure from the hands, and then just bring the knees up so that they are above the hips. Push the hands on the knees. It's a similar movement, but now we're making it a little bit harder for ourselves because we're going to be pushing the knees into the hands and the hands into the knees without actually moving any of them. And then just lift your head and chest a little bit off the mat. Here we are. This is a self-assist that a yoga teacher might give you to make the core work a little bit more intense, but you can do it for yourself. 3, push your knees into the hands. 2, press your hands into the knees. 1, and then slowly release. Stretch the right leg long. Take, with your own hand, take your left knee over into a spinal twist. You can stretch the left arm to the side. Nice. In fact, do one more thing with the left thumb before you go to the side. Hook it into the left hip crease and push that hip towards your right foot. With the right hand, you can gently keep that knee down if you'd like to. And you're trying to lengthen the side body on the left here with the left hand pushing the hip a little bit away from you. It's really amazing if a teacher does this, but you're getting a similar effect just right here by yourself, nice and simple. And then release. Let's do all of these again, and then we'll twist to the other side. First, constructive rest. Dig your heels of your hands into the hip creases. Push away with your hands, and then tilt the tailbone down so that your lower back is pushing into the mat, and just feel that length, that space in the lower back. And then lift the feet, knees 90 degrees, hands on the tops of the knees. Lift the head and the chest. Push with the hands. You could easily cheat here, but of course that wouldn't serve any purpose because you're by yourself doing yoga for yourself. So you're here to strengthen the core a little bit in this instance. Push, 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 push. The knees press back for 3, for 2, for 1. Gently release. The left leg goes long this time. Take the right knee over into spinal twist. Right hand, right hip crease or top of the hip here. And then push that hip towards the foot of the leg that's straight. Left hand can go on top of that knee. And you're working to lengthen, think more length rather than doing a deeper twist. So you're trying to lengthen from the right armpit to the outer right hip. Nice. Last 3, 2, 1. Gently release. Come back out. Bend your knees into your chest and then just squeeze them in for a moment. Nice. Then you can walk up to sitting, come into Badakasana. I'm not hugely flexible in this area, in the inner thighs, so this is one that I often repeat. So we're here, you can slide the feet a little bit further away from you if that is more comfortable. And then what I like to do is I'm leaning a little bit to the side so that this left knee goes all the way down. And I want to push with the left hand down onto that left thigh and try my best to open that right knee all the way away. I'm going to support myself with my opposite hand so that I get more leverage here. So I'm really pressing down. The left hand can even choose different spots in that inner thigh just to press down. At the same time, I'm doing my best to lengthen the right knee away and down if there's any space left. Good. Just press, press, press with that left hand and then release. Take it to the second side so you can rock a little bit to the right, just so that right knee is down, right hand is gonna pin it down, the inner knee, the inner thigh, left hand can support, and then do your best to lengthen this left knee away from the right knee which you're pinning down. Nice. You could just stay in one position, take a few breaths. Or with that right hand, you can work your way along the inseam of that right inner thigh. Just try to find some tighter spots. For me, that's not very difficult here. And just press down and at the same time lengthen away. Nice. And then stretch the legs long, wide-legged, seated forward fold. And here, instead of holding our feet and pulling, that would be a kind of a self-assist, but not a very positive one, because it's an external force. Rather, I would show you something that a yoga teacher would do in some of these poses. I think a yoga teacher should always ground the student, give them more confidence, more grounding, so that the student can lengthen more by their own accord. This is how you do it. You press, so you turn your fingers back, your thumbs go in the hip creases, and you push down and roll a little bit out. So you're doing this kind of motion where your thumbs roll out and up. Good. So feel that pushes the buttocks firmer down into the ground, the hamstrings as well, and you feel it sort of frees up the lower back and the rest of the spine to lengthen a little bit forward. You may not go that far, it's a bit hard because you're both pushing and lengthening, but you're getting a really nice grounded feeling through the legs. You're getting some amazing stability and support in the base of the pose, which is a good assist in my opinion. And then you're lengthening away with the spine, the head, away from this point of support where you're pressing down. Good. Slowly release. You can just come to standing and you can shake the legs out. Now, mountain pose. It's a good one to do a couple of self-assists. Here we go. I'm having the feet hip distance, hands on the hips, and just feel the bowl of the hip. So it's you can imagine it like a bowl filled with water, and then you're pressing the edges of that bowl a little bit down. So it's like you're trying to ground your own feet a little bit deeper into the ground. Press, 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 and just feel hopefully equal distribution of your weight and your grounding through the left foot and through the right. And then let's do one more little assist here. So often we have all kinds of postures. Sometimes if you trying to correct this, you have no idea what's wrong or right anymore. This is a good way to get started. Have one hand on your lower back and one on the belly, and then just gently press them in. I like the back hand a little bit lower than the belly hand. So go more on the top of the belly and the base of the lower back, the sacrum, and then push a little bit in, and then you'll feel you're held from the front and from the back. Your glutes and your abs are a little bit active. Not squeezing really hard, but just slightly active. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Good, let's step the right foot back into a warrior two. Come into it, into your favorite version of warrior two. And then we'll do the same, one hand on the belly, one on the lower back. Often we're arching our back a little bit too much in warrior two. So this is a good little self-assist just to become aware of the position of the spine. Good. Then there's one more thing I really like to do here, is one hand in the inner thigh on the left, one hand on the hip point on the right. And what I'm doing is I'm moving these 2 points a little bit away from each other. It's not kind of a massive movement effect, but the effect will be that you're feeling this directional pull the front and the back. Nice. We're going straight into triangle pose, so straighten the front leg, lean a little bit forward, coming to quite a relaxed triangle pose. You're not going to try and go as deep as you can. The right arm can go up, but now here we're going to do a few self-assists. The first one is use that free hand, the top one, to just lift the lower ribs a little bit. So you're getting this length to the front. And then use the top hand also to soften the top ribs a bit, because often we are rounding this top part. So we need to lengthen the bottom, soften the top. So your spine is more expanding. It's probably going to be a little bit on the diagonal, which is fine. And then just with that right hand, also touch the front ribs so that they can soften a little bit back. This is to counter any back bend, which would negate some of the elements of this pose. Good. And then one more pose in this little series. Rebend the front knee. We're going to side angle pose. So have your arm inside the knee so you can press a little bit, or you can turn the hand. This is fine. So it gives your knee something to push into and inwards, and then have the other hand behind the back of the head and push your head slightly back into the hand. Of course, if you have more space, you can lower this left hand down. That would be the same pose, but it might be more relaxing to stay a little bit higher and to lean the head back. Often when we're in this pose, we tend to rotate the top of the body a little bit down, and the head is often a bit forward from the neck, our habitual desk and phone posture. It's quite normal, but these self-assists help us to counter that a little bit. Good. Come out. Let's swap sides. Turn the right toes out. Come into warrior two. Bend that front knee until it's enough. And then again, one hand belly, one hand lower back. And take a breath or two into that space. So it just helps you to feel from both sides what's happening. And especially for the back, this is useful because we don't always know what's happening behind us. It's harder to become aware of. And then second part is right hand in the right inner knee, left hand, left hip point. I'm opening the hips to both sides by just gently moving the hands away from each other. Visually, you probably can't see a lot happening, but physically, I'm feeling this opening, the inner thighs and around the hip joints. Good. Prepare for triangle pose. Straighten the front leg. Place the right hand, but don't go too deep. You want a bit of space to move around in. Lift the left arm just for a moment. And then I'm exaggerating a bit, but often what happens is the top part of the ribs rounds and the bottom part shortens a lot, especially if people are trying to get lower than they actually have space for, if we're honest. So first, lengthen the bottom side of the body. So from short to longer. Feel that right armpit expand forward, and then just also touch the top part in case this is a little bit too rounded. There's a chance to soften that a little bit here. And then just touch the front ribs with that left hand, the free hand, to have a bit of awareness of keeping the center intact. This is not a back bend kind of pose. Good. Then rebend this front knee. Place the right arm not on top of the thigh, that would be more of a resting position, but on the inside of the thigh. Push a little bit with this hand towards the outside, and then other hand behind the back of the head, lean a little bit back. So with these self-assists, we're clearly giving ourselves some pressure points, some tactile touching points, which remind us to engage in a specific way into the pose. Again, you can lower this Right hand all the way down if that works for you. But my preference is to stay a little bit higher. Good. Slowly release. Going to turn back towards the left leg. This time we're coming into a lunge. You can place that right knee down. Interlace the fingers. Place them behind the back of the head. Open your elbows wide and then just lean the head a little bit back. So again, with our self-assist, we're providing a little platform for the head to push against. And just to get like a different experience than if we were just doing something else with the arms, like extending them up or keeping them lower. Gently release this. Nice. You can lift the back hip, the back knee, turn the foot down, step a little bit closer, preparing for pyramid pose. So turn towards the front side of the mat, use your hands on the hips to get this done. And then lengthen the chest forward, forward, forward. Now I'm going to turn around so you can see better. With the left hand, this is the most important one, the one on the front leg side. I'm pulling back quite strongly. With the other hand, you can always help that hip a little bit forward, but this is the crucial hand that pulls that hip back. Often we think we're going deeper, but all that's happening is that this hip has just shifted forward and the other one is way back, and it gives the impression you're deeper into the pose when you're actually not. Good. Then last one is we're just going to step onto this left foot for warrior 3. And now for warrior 3, keep the hands on the hips. Keep that slight pulling back with the left hand on left hip crease. And now with the right hand on the right hip, I'm exaggerating a bit. Often we're going a little bit too much towards a half moon, opening the right hip too much, but now roll the right hip down. Roll it down, roll it down, roll it down. That right toes should be pointing straight down towards the mat. Slowly come up, shake the legs out, and you'll feel sometimes with the self-assist, it gets a little bit harder. When the teacher is hovering around you, trying to change your pose, you probably also have to work a little bit harder. So that's, it could be an advantage. Or on some days you might just be like, no, leave me alone. I just want to do the chilled version, that's fine too. Lunge, right foot forward, left knee down. Repeating the same on the second side. Clasp hands behind the back of the head. Open the elbows wide, lean a little bit back. Just feel this gentle self-assist. The pillow of your hands, you can lean back in and engage the muscles in the back of the shoulder and the back of the neck. It's really good work. And then slowly release that. You can lift the back knee, step a bit closer for pyramid pose. I'll turn around so you can see a little bit better. Right hand, right hip crease. I'm pulling back and I'm trying to face forward as much as possible with the hips. Pull back with the right hand quite a lot. Lengthen the chest forward, forward, forward. Don't worry about how low you go. Just worry about, are the hips level? Can you sense it? Can the left hip lengthen a bit forward? Can you keep pulling that right hip crease back towards the end of the mat? You can use your thumb or you can use your hands, your fingers to pull back. And most likely you feel quite a good hamstring stretch, maybe more than normal without your self-assist. Good, now we're going to warrior 3. I'm stepping onto the right leg. Keep your hands on the hips. Start to lift the left leg, lean the heart forward. And then with the right hand, I'm pulling that right hip back. With the left hand, I'm encouraging the left hip to roll a little bit down. Oops, my balance is not great today, but that's fine. Feel this alignment in the hips. Feel the feedback from your hands on the left hip and the right. And then slowly come out. Shake the legs. Nice. We'll do 2 more poses where I really like the feedback of my own touch here. The first one is Camel Pose. So sit high up on the knees with the hands. Start on the hip, the pelvic ball again. And then like we've done in mountain pose, I'm pushing down, I'm providing more grounding with the hands in this downward motion. Feel this grounds the knees a little bit firmer and also makes the upper thighs feel nice and strong. Nice. So try and keep this base of support. Imagine your hands are still there, but now move the hands up to the base of the rib cage, so the lower rib cage, and then lift the rib cage up. Imagine another set of hands is still grounding your hips down, another set of hands is lifting the rib cage up. So you're trying to increase the space between your hip bowl and then the rib cage. Good. Now walk the hands a little bit higher. Grab the rib cage from the sides and pull up. You're increasing the length in the front body mostly. And then have your thumbs in the front of the armpits and then lift the front of the armpits up. Now feel grounding through the legs, lifting of the rib cage, opening of the front body. That's a really good self-assist. And then slowly come out. You can sit back for a moment. It's good not to rush after this back bend. If you want to do more of this, just pause the video and then repeat 1 or 2 more times. It can be nice sometimes to repeat camel a couple of times. We're going to move on to our last pose, which is Gomu Kasana. The right knee, bring it in front of the left. And then sit in between the legs, in between the feet. For the Gomu Kasana, we're not doing the arm part. And then here I'm taking my opposite elbow, so the left knee is on top. I'm taking my right elbow underneath this left leg and I'm lifting the knee up a bit. Nice. At the same time, I'm pushing that left knee down into my own arm, into my right forearm. And this intensifies the outer hip stretch on that left leg. Basically, the left outer hip muscles are lengthening, but they're also working, they're strengthening because they're trying to push that left knee down into the support of the right arm. Hold for 3, push a little bit harder. 2, keep pushing. 1, almost there. And release. Well done. Swap the legs. Left knee under, right knee on top. Set it up as best as you can. Sit back. And remember, if the hips don't go all the way down, just lift them up with a cushion or a yoga block or something you have lying around. It's fine. So right knee's on top. I'm taking the left arm, the opposite one. I'm threading it under, lifting the knee up a bit. Don't try to keep your knee as low as possible. And then I'm starting to push down quite hard with that right knee on the left forearm, so that it's like a tug of war. Is the arm winning? Is the knee winning? And they both seem to be equally strong, so it's undecided. Keep pushing down, push down, push down. Feel the work that the outer hip is doing, both lengthening and strengthening at the same time. So the same muscles that were stretching the outer hip, we're giving them some strength work to do with this tactile feedback. Press a little bit harder, increase the pressure for 3. Push down with the right knee, 2. Keep going, 1. Hold for 1 more second. And slowly release. Nice, take a comfortable seat. Lastly, we could of course do Shavasana. It's a great gift to yourself, but it's a little bit hard to do a self-assist. So I'm going to guide you through a mini self-massage. It works like this. Take 2 fingers of each hand, place them on your temples, and make little circles. Little circles. You can apply some gentle pressure. You can add more fingers, of course, if you like. Gently explore the sides of your forehead and a little bit into the hairline on the sides there. And you'll feel which parts need a little bit of time and attention. And then move a little bit lower to in front of the ears. And then just slide up and down, applying some pressure here. This is the muscles of the jaw, where we often hold lots of tension. You can also make circles and dig your fingers into those sometimes tender or tense spots. And then take the sides of the neck, slide up and down, so from below your ear down towards the shoulders. Apply some gentle pressure on the side of the neck. You'll notice how much you need to press. And then move a bit more to the back of the neck. And there's 2 sort of ridges that go from the base of the skull down to the upper back. So press on those a little bit as you slide up and down. And for most of it, there's going to be quite a few sensitive spots in these areas. Nice. Here you go. Of course, you can continue this for as long as you want. I recommend, rather than doing one long session of this, just do a little bits of this here and there in your practice. Come back to this often. And thank yourself for the self-assist. This was amazing. I hope you feel good. I hope you have some new ideas how to take care of yourself a little bit better, to enhance your own yoga practice. And I'll see you here again soon. Namaste.